These are the 13 strongest crews in One Piece, and today I'll explain the evolution of each one. Some of them got their power by eliminating other rivals, some through coincidence, and some literally got their power by stealing members of other crews. Yeah, I'm talking about Rock's Pirates here. You see, Rox D. Zebek was born as a descendant of the great Davy D. Jones, and he was always meant to achieve greatness. At the beginning of his career, Rox organized a bunch of Davy-back fights. This is pretty much a game where the losing side has to give up their crewmates. Considering Rox was one of the strongest people alive, he quickly amassed a huge crew consisting of incredibly strong pirates. Among these pirates was even Whitebeard, a future emperor of the sea. Now, the only thing Rox valued was power, and he held his crew together with an iron fist. Rox's crew grew steadily from here, and soon they caught the attention of the world government. By that point, they were already pretty strong, so instead of fighting them, the government decided to make a deal with them. By doing dirty work for the government, the Rox Pirates were able to gain their first piece of real territory, Hachinosu Island. This is also where the Rox Pirates recruited two more insanely powerful individuals, Kaido and Big Mom. With the inclusion of these two members, the Rox Pirates hit their peak and were considered to be at their strongest. However, everything changed during the God Valley incident. You see, when the Rox Pirates heard the news that Shaki had been kidnapped by the government, they rushed in to save her. But Rox, well, he had a different motive. This whole Shaki thing was just a cover-up, as what he really wanted was to save his wife and his son, whom he had hidden in God Valley. What followed was one of the greatest battles in the history of One Piece. At first, this was just going to be a battle between the Marines and the Rox Pirates, but then it turned into a three-way battle when Roger and his crew appeared on the battlefield. In the end, Rox was unfortunately turned into a demon by Emu and had to be defeated by the combined efforts of Roger and Garp. Considering Rox's crew was never built on loyalty, each member went their separate ways after his death, and the crew was officially disbanded. There are still 12 crews left to cover, and let's continue with the Roger Pirates. As you already know, Gold D. Roger was the legendary king of the pirates, but even he had to start somewhere. You see, Roger was born in the East Blue, and although we don't know much about his early life, we do know that at some point he met Rayleigh and asked him to be his first mate. Just like other strong pirates, Roger was an ambitious man, but he also had a big heart, something that Rox lacked. Which is why, instead of forcing others to join his crew, Roger naturally attracted like-minded people who believed in his goals. That's how he got loyal and powerful crewmates like Scopper Gabon. With Rayleigh as his right-hand man and Gabon as his left, Roger's crew was nearly unstoppable. At some point, Roger's crew participated in the God Valley incident, and this is the first time we got to see how strong they truly were. For example, during this fight, Rayleigh absolutely destroyed one of the Holy Knights, Saint Shepherd, to save Shaki. But the real show of strength came from Roger, who teamed up with Garp to defeat the demonized Rox. Sometime after God Valley, Roger and his crew would attempt to find all 4 road poneglyphs in order to reach the final island. They did this pretty easily, with Roger stealing the last one from Big Mom. However, considering no one on board knew how to read these things, they immediately started looking for a person who could, and this is when they met Kuzuki Odin. Odin was a member of Whitebeard's crew at this point, so Roger had to do some negotiating to get Odin on their side. With Odin finally on board, the crew soon found the last island, where they learned the true history of the world. This was the exact moment the Roger Pirates were at their peak, as they became the only crew in history to find the One Piece. However, their fall would come soon after. You see, Roger had already been sick with an incurable disease for quite some time, and once his condition worsened, he surrendered himself to the Marines. He was executed soon after, with his crew disbanding and going their separate ways. But at least this next crew managed to hold their power for much longer. The Whitebeard Pirates were formed by Edward Newgate. Edward was born on Sphinx, a poor island located in the New World. There, he grew up as an orphan, and his only wish was to one day have a family of his own. It's eventually what led him to join the Rox Pirates and seek family there. This obviously didn't work, and after leaving the crew, Whitebeard decided to start his own. Throughout his life, Whitebeard would recruit plenty of strong pirates, such as Marco the Phoenix, Vista, and even Kuzuki Odin. Each of his crewmates called Whitebeard father, while he looked at each one of them as his own sons. And this wasn't out of fear or anything like that, it's because everyone on Whitebeard's crew truly considered each other family. Whitebeard and his crew were never ambitious, so when they heard about the One Piece, they never even attempted to search for it. However, despite not posing a significant threat to anyone, no one dared to mess with the Whitebeard Pirates, and they would go on to become one of the 4 Emperor crews of the New World. At this point, the Whitebeard Pirates could rival any crew in the world, which we saw in their legendary battles against Roger. This would also be the peak of the Whitebeard Pirates, as soon after, Whitebeard became sick, which significantly reduced their power. This is also when we started to see the first cracks forming in Whitebeard's crew, as one of his sons, Teach, decided to kill his crewmate and steal the devil fruit he found. To avenge his fallen comrade, the second commander, Ace, would chase after Teach, but will be defeated and handed over to the world government to be executed. Ace's execution would turn into a full-fledged war between the Whitebeard Pirates and the Marines, but unfortunately, it would also lead to Whitebeard's death. After the death of their captain, the crew would remain active for some time, with Marco taking charge. However, after they were defeated by Blackbeard during the time skip, the crew was officially disbanded. Beast Pirates. The Beast Pirates were formed by Kaido, a former member of Rock's crew and a character widely recognized as the strongest creature in the world. Even before becoming famous, Kaido was always super strong, and by the time he was 10 years old, he had become the strongest soldier in his kingdom. This led to the Marines capturing him multiple times, and he eventually ended up as a test subject in the government's lab. It's here that Kaido met another prisoner, Albert, and struck up a friendship with him. The two would soon escape the facility, with Kaido asking Albert to join the new crew he was making. This is the moment the Beast Pirates were officially formed, with Kaido naming Albert King and appointing him as his right-hand man. Not long after, Kaido would recruit his left hand as well, a man he dubbed Queen. With two incredibly strong pirates as his commanders, Kaido would expand rapidly and would even start the production of artificial devil fruits. But to achieve this, Kaido needed a permanent place to settle and build factories in. This is when he forcefully took over Wano by defeating Odin and established it as his main base of operations. After taking over Wano, the Beast Pirates would also become one of the 4 Emperor crews. At their peak, the Beast Pirates had roughly 20,000 members and a strong fleet of Devil Fruit users, most of them being Zoan types. The Beast Pirates, at their peak, also had multiple divisions, the strongest one being the All-Stars, which consisted of King, Queen, and Jack. Aside from them, the Beast Pirates also had the Flying Six. They weren't quite on the level of the All-Stars, but were still really powerful fighters. The rest of the 20,000 pirates consisted of foot soldiers who had eaten Smile Fruits. However, despite being so strong, the Beast Pirates would suffer a crushing defeat at the hands of the Ninja Pirate Mink Samurai Alliance, with Luffy taking Kaido's throne as one of the 4 Emperors. Right now, the status of the Beast Pirates is unknown after their captain was seemingly killed. Some of the members